It's not often I get to start one of these adventures from back home in the driveway with the boat attached. In fact, it's never. This is actually a first. But this isn't a fishing trip. It's definitely going to be one hell of a hunting trip. I've got everything I need packed in here, and the next stop is Welsh Pool down in Gippsland, only a few hours away. We're about to start on one of the biggest hunting adventures you can have here in Victoria, stalking the littlest deer of them all. The location is Snake Island. We're hunting hog deer in the Ballot. It's time to hit the road because we've got a briefing to get to and a tide to catch. For the lucky Ballot winners, the first stage of the hunt kicks off at a compulsory briefing held at the ferry terminal in Port Welshpool, just across the narrow channel from Snake Island. The briefing is conducted by Parks Victoria and it gives all hunters valuable information about the hunt and the adventure that lies ahead. After decades of lobbying for access to this 35 square kilometre piece of public land, the first opportunity for hunting on Snake Island finally occurred in 2017 after successful campaigning spearheaded by the Australian Deer Association. Over the last 5 seasons, it's provided world-class hunting opportunities for approximately 55 hunters every year.
Together with Game Management Authority, we've been running this program. This is the 4th year. Yeah. From Parks' point of view, I can't speak on part of Game because they're not here, but it's gone fantastically well. Really, really good program. It was contentious at the start. You know, something new always is. There has been no hunting on Snake Island for ever, no legal hunting. You know, it was contentious. Still is a little bit with the cattlemen. You know, they'd probably prefer you weren't there. But they're working with us. You know, we schedule it in with as much as we can with their activities and the other activities on the island. So, but the general community, just no problem at all. You know, they were against it as well, but you know, basically you hunters just by acting so professionally have turned that round. So it's turned into a real positive for the community. The shop's happy, the caravan park's happy. You know, it's a good local story.
For anyone who's lucky enough to draw a block, the preparation, research and training starts months ahead. And in previous years, it's definitely the hunters that are well prepared both physically and mentally that get the best results. What's unique about Snake Island is that while it's relatively close to civilization, it's still very much a wilderness hunt. And obviously being right on the coast facing south to Bass Strait, it's extremely prone to rough weather and extreme winds. Combine this with the rapidly changing tides and just getting yourself and all your gear there safely in one piece and dry is often the biggest challenge. By now all the hunters were well prepared and had their plans set out amongst them for when and where they would hunt, with the most common method for this being that once drawn, the attendees of the ballot period contact each other and mutually come up with a plan for the areas that each person will hunt and how they will get over to the island. Each hunter must be totally self-sufficient for food, water and shelter, with water being the biggest challenge as there is no potable source anywhere on the island. Each hunter can take 1 male and 1 female hog deer each if they are lucky, with the venison from hog deer regarded by many, including myself, as the best in the country. By law, each deer must be presented whole to the checking station over on the mainland after being harvested. So again, this presents a unique challenge along with managing meat spoilage, particularly in the warmer months earlier in the Ballot. As we neared the end of the briefing, you could definitely feel the excitement in the room, and I caught up with a few of the hunters to get their thoughts on the upcoming adventure.
Name's Jared Cook from Gippsland Victoria.
And have you hunted hog deer before?
No, first time hunting hog deer.
Yep. How many times have you been in the Ballot to win this tag?
Just twice actually, so got very lucky to be drawn the second time. So yeah.
How are you getting in there today?
Going with a Port Albert Coast Guard. With another guy who's been drawn as well. So yeah.
What area are you hunting?
Hunting around Bullock Waterhole and also Long Flat. I'm pretty sure it was called. So
how are you getting around? Are you backpacking or you got a?
Made a rickshaw type setup. Nice high seat, get nice and high. To hopefully look down on them and hopefully get successful.
What are you expecting this week?
I've got no idea to be honest, but obviously hoping to be good to take a stag and get it mounted up on the wall and some nice venison as well.
Jake from Woolamai.
And how many years have you been trying to get the Ballot?
This is the 3rd year, so pretty early on.
You've done pretty well.
Yeah.
And what area are you hunting?
The big hole, so the eastern side, sort of middle eastern side of Snake Island, yeah.
How are you planning to get in there and around?
Taking the tinny over and then just by foot, pretty much, yeah, backpacking foot.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what are your expectations in this hunt?
I've heard these hog deer taste pretty good, so that's probably P1.
Yeah.
And then, if there's a stag there, a bit of a bonus.
I'm Brad Allen, I'm from Dalby in Queensland. It took 2 days to drive down. This is my second trip down after hoggies with the Ballot. Been in the Ballot nearly every year since about 2008 now. I hunted in 2010 on Burlpool. I took a small stag, he was only 7.5 inches, but he's pretty, and a nice hind as well for meat. Many more years have gone past and haven't had any luck in the Ballot, but I just persisted with it. This year I drew Snake Island. Mate of mine hunted there last year. He gave me a few good tips, so looking forward to getting over there this afternoon. The weather's a bit wet at the moment, but could be worse. So,
How are you getting in there?
yeah, boating in. Hopefully won't have to walk too far through the water because it's virtually high tide now, so if we get in there pretty soon it'll be good.
And how are you getting around? Have you got a stand or are you just backpacking around?
I'll be stand hunting. I've got a ladder with a seat on the top, a set of wheels to strap on it. I'm using that as a cart to cart my gear in as well. It seems to work okay, so it saves backpack and everything, yeah, for sure.
You looking forward to it?
Yeah, love it.
A buddy of mine, Joel Fulton from New South Wales, had drawn a place this year and he'd been kind enough to have me along as a guest to film and document his hunt. So I'd returned the favour and brought my boat, which would be our transport for the trip.
Getting keen, mate?
Yeah, awesome. This is going to be so good. Weather's looking great.
Understandably some pretty excited fellas here getting ready and loading in. The weather is meant to be a lot kinder than this, but being this far south in this part of the Victorian coastline, it does serve up this kind of weather pretty regularly, but it is meant to clear. We've got a high tide right now, and as we speak it's starting to drop away, and obviously because we're all going in with an amphibious kind of landing, we need as much tide as we can, so it's go time right now. The boys are loading up and we're into it. Rickshaws, water, food, esky, salt, gear, you name it, everything's loaded in. It's going to be one hell of a fishing trip. Next stop, Snake Island.
I'd also be taking over Andrew, a keen Victorian hunter who together with Joel had teamed up to work on and refine their rickshaw and stand designs. We headed across the channel and made our way around to the Swashway jetty. The peak of the high tide had already beaten us, but it looked like that at least for now we still had plenty of water to work with.
Despite the weather, that was pretty painless actually. We got round here and out of the rain pretty quick. This is the main channel between Little Snake and Snake Island. There's no hunting to my right there at Little Snake. We're coming in here at the jetty. We're going to be able to unload all our stuff here with dry feet, which is handy. And then we just got to manage our gear, what we stash in base camp or what we decide to pack out of here. We're kind of making that up as we go.
The fellas certainly had plenty of gear between them, and I guess the luxury of making up a rickshaw or a trolley means that you can take more stuff. But this can also be a curse, as while the pros are that the island is virtually flat with good access on relatively clear tracks, the cons are that in the end, it's all weight and effort that you still have to haul. While I kept it simple and went with the trusty old backpack, nevertheless I did admire these cool contraptions and another fine example of Aussie ingenuity. With all the gear now successfully unloaded from the boat and onto the pier, the guys had their rickshaws packed and the final task was to anchor off the boat so it would be safe and we could come back and use it any time to stay mobile if needed. I'd pulled it back off the pier and anchored it well below the high tide mark, setting both a front and rear anchor, and just to be safe, I brought along 50 metres of rope so we could tie it off securely to the poles that are available on the bank. We were now clear to get moving and started heading south towards our first camp.
Finally on the move. One thing about Snake Island is the necessity for everyone to carry all their own stuff anywhere you go on the island. And definitely a theme over the first couple of years has been guys making up rickshaws, and these boys are continuing the tradition in style. They're into it. They've only gone a couple hundred metres and they've already got some tips and suggestions.
Like Joel was saying, if we had a bit of weight down lower, maybe slung underneath the ladder, it would help immensely, eh, Joel?
So what do you reckon your issues are first up, mate? Bouncing a bit side to side.
Dragging it behind you, yeah, you can't pick your path and it'll fall into a pothole and then correct and then start a bit of a speed wobble. It's just basically a step ladder, 6-foot step ladder. I made up a frame to hold the axles. I tried to get a push bike that had 3-inch tyres. I wanted 4-inch tyres, but they were a bit more expensive. So I've gone with a 20-inch wheel with 3-inch wide tyre. Obviously the wider the better in the sandy stuff.
Is this your design, or is it Andrew's, or who's stolen
Yeah,
these?
I came up with the first design and the second design and the third design. And then after, you know, chatting with Andrew the whole way through, he's kind of copied and tweaked a little bit, you know, with his taste for his one. But yeah, my wheelbase is a little bit wider than Andrew's. My wheels are a little bit further back.
Didn't you pass on that modification to him?
Nah, he actually made a little bit of a boo-boo, but we won't go there. But yeah, 20-inch wheel on a 5.5-foot step ladder. And yeah, I've got some conduit underslung there that turns into the frame for the rifle rest. So I'm pretty happy with it at this stage. It has a bit of a rock to it, as Andrew was saying, as we're going along the track, but yeah, I think it should be all right.
Magic sign here on our way in. This little banks here has just been hammered. Certainly lifts the spirits. And you see that stuff, and you've only been going for half an hour or so. Brilliant.
That's the Mark III, the Mark IV.
Oh, we've had our first rollover. I was just admiring the beautiful landscape. You right, mate?
Nah. Reset myself up here. Here we go. Alright, we're set. 3-man to lift it back up, and we're ready to go again.
Got any ice creams in there, mate?
Yeah.
Some great innovation from the guys there with these rickshaws they've designed. I love it. Anyone who does win a place down here is lucky enough to get a spot. How you manage your hunt and your logistics is one of the big challenges. And it's whether you go backpack like I've got now and just keep it simple, or you make up one of these type contraptions. The plus of this is, while it's a bit of an effort and a bit of a haul, when they get out into those open grass areas and the feed areas, these rickshaws convert to a high seat, you know, a tree stand type arrangement. So it's going to give them that bit of extra height, which is going to be pretty important and definitely an advantage in some areas. But you can see from the track network that's here on the island, it's not too bad going, particularly for a rickshaw, something like that. The wheels make covering the ground pretty easy. We've probably only got another K or so to go before we're going to try and pull up and make camp, hanging back off one of those open, clear feed type areas. Going to be camping in this bush. It's beautiful in here in the Banksia woodland. Such a very unique coastal Australian scene, this stuff with the black boys and the Banksias. There's not much food in here, if anything, and the hog deer are definitely going to be moving through and out to those feed areas. That's where we want to be.
Oh, he's broken a pole.
Blowout.
Blowout, right.
Even though we've got a little minor issue here with Andrew's rickshaw, which he's onto, busted out the gaffer tape. In good Aussie style, that'll be up and going again in no time. But this is probably as good a place as any to camp. We don't want to be scenting up the area we're going to hunt, which is over there, about 500 metres, or we'll start hunting from there. And a bit of shade, little level area. It's not the most picturesque camp, but it'll do. And we'll be ready to go. Oh, look out. You're kidding me, breaking out the pizza.
It's still good to go. Last night's leftovers. Should do you well.
Joel and I set to making camp, dining on cold pizza, while Andrew tended to the last of his repairs with the basic tools he had available, performing some pretty quality bush mechanic work with zip ties and duct tape. We helped lighten his load a bit where we could, and then with his Mark IV ready to roll again, he set off south as he still had a fair few Ks to cover in order to make it down to his camp at Cow Swamp before nightfall.
Hasn't taken us long to get camp sorted. Joel's in his tent. I'm just in the bivvy here under the fly, nice and easy. But with the sun starting to drop, we're going to go and have a look. I'll accompany Joel out here and try and pick a spot for the morning where we're going to start. Because tomorrow morning it's open season. The hunting starts Sunday, being the move-in day. There's no shooting, so it's the perfect time to make the most of the time to have a look around and find us a start for the morning. We've had a good little walk around, but haven't turned up a lot of promising spots, have we, mate?
Ah.
No, it's been pretty thick.
Very thick.
Just down here in front of us is a little soak, kind of dry swamp, if you like. At the end of this big swamp, there's a nice little green there at the end, and this area here just off it provides a bit of a high point around it. It's probably one of the better spots we've found, but yeah, definitely not ideal. Haven't seen any rubs and no droppings of scat yet, so keep on looking, I think.
A few little rubs on these bad boys here. Not much sign around. It's pretty sparse. No scat, no footprints, just the odd rub, you know. But it's so dense in here, it's just like, where do you go? Where do you stand off to shoot from? There's nowhere.
Amongst a seemingly endless ocean of above head high tea tree, we eventually found a small clearing, and it did reveal the first bit of scat that at least indicated they were here somewhere. While there were some small pockets of better feed, the visibility here was really poor. You'd have to be elevated, and the chances for a shot through the narrow lanes in the tea tree were almost zero. While the sign was encouraging, it was depressing at the same time, and we both reckoned the odds on this spot were tiny, so moved off and started the long walk west across to the opposite side of the island, where I'd seen on the maps it looked like there was some more open country.
It's taken a good 3 hours of burning around, and we've found a lot of places they aren't, a lot of places that aren't huntable, but we have finally hit pay dirt at the end of the day, out with some pretty open, decent, swampy country where we can get a good field of view. Joel will be able to work the binos tomorrow, pick apart this scrub edge and the tussock, see if you can find one. It'll be a long shot, eh, mate?
Yeah.
But a shot's a shot.
We'll give it a crack.
There's lots of roos out here feeding, so pretty positive if the roos are out, the deer will come out too. What's for dinner with you tonight, mate?
Tonight, dehydrated beef burgoyne and mashed potato.
I'm going the beef stroganoff. interesting night. It's depending on when this goes to air, the world's a very different place because it's right at the start of the COVID outbreak, and I think we're the only ones left in the world, aren't we, mate?
This is us.
It's we might well be the last hunters on Snake Island this year too, because all the measures of lockdown are going into place as we speak. But we're still here and we're sticking it out. And despite the doom and gloom, there's a lot to be positive about, because this morning it's open season.
That's it. Game on.
Yeah, the weather's played its part beautifully. We had that wind yesterday. It has dropped out as it was forecast to do. It's pretty much perfectly still now. So we're at the gentlemanly hour of hog deer hunting, which is sort of just after first light, early morning. Nothing too stupid. And we're hoping that clearing we found yesterday is going to give us a good spot to sit and wait. We're going to have plenty of vision anyway. So about a 45-minute punch in down there, and we're going to set ourselves up around the edge and see what we can find.
That's it.
Shrill. There it is. I reckon that's up there, Joel. It's coming on the wind. We've just been barked at a couple of times. It's a bit hard to pick up where it's coming from. There might actually be two. We think one's behind us, but also there might be one out in front of us here. It's a good sign. Here. We've just got to try and find out where it is. One of the benefits of having communications on here and a bit of telephone coverage is that all the guys on this Ballot hunt can stay in touch. And I've just had some good news come through that Jake, who's been hunting south of here, got himself a nice stag. What do you reckon? 33 centimetres, so about 13, 14 inches, which is a ripper. Where we are up north here, this part of the island doesn't seem to be as productive with regards to feed areas. So we're planning on making a move at this stage tomorrow, and Jake's going to be coming out with his deer. We're probably going to pack up and get back up on the boat, move south and load in from there. Might give us a few more options on some of the bigger water holes and feed areas down there. But for now, we don't have a tide or anything, so we know there's deer here, there's scattered sign, brief sign, and we have been barked at by those two sort of animals this morning around here, so we'll definitely wait it out. There's still a good chance that something could turn up here yet.
As often happens with hog deer hunting, the afternoon quickly started to slip away and we still hadn't seen a deer. This didn't deter us though, as we were in it for the long haul and we both knew we had to keep on persevering. There was still plenty of time left on this hunt and a huge amount of country to cover, and the best thing was though, the weather was looking better by the hour.
Maroka 30 is the proud hunting clothing and equipment sponsor of Beyond the Divide, custom designed for our local conditions and uniquely Australian. Ask for it in store at your local gun shop or check out the full range at maroka30.com.au.